Okay, let's talk about the institution of thought. So, it's a very big one to understand. And if you do understand it, you're pretty liberated. Um, it's very easy to understand, but like the way the average human thinks, the way the average human thinks, like how they're taught the thought is they're taught the thought a certain way, right? It's through an institution. So a lot of people have a lot of just um, thoughts that they all agree are true. Terence McKenna puts it in a very good says it very well. He goes, "Beware of the fallacy of misplaced concreteness," and this is everywhere with our society because of the institution of thought. Everyone has there are a ton of agreed upon concrete thoughts which are not supposed to be concrete. They're merely just guesses, such as the fact that we don't have rebirth, we don't reincarnate. That's I'll have professors that will just be talking about a topic in class, and of course, this lady's own son was saying that he remembered his past life. And she threw that out immediately in the topic, and she was my professor, and I didn't tell her, but I could have told her that her assuming that her son didn't have a past life is just as big as an assumption that he did. Okay, and so like just understanding purely something like that, like if you're able to grasp that, the fact that you um, might not have a life, or there might not be reincarnation, is just as big as there might be reincarnation, then you are able to break away from the institution of thought. But if for some reason you're able to hear that and you're not able to break away from the institution of thought, you're just stuck in the institution of thought. The reason you're not able to, take that and deal with it is because you've been institutionalized. And there's many, there's like it stretches very far, in like people talk about, oh, I need to be productive, right? So you have to understand that people feeling the need to be productive, first off, is a part of the institution of thought, and then also their definition of what productive is heavily a part of the institution of thought. In reality, people are just this experience that is like they're in charge of, and that individual explicit experience is all that matters. It's not about social constructs like being productive and stuff like that. But people have been so um, institutionalized that they think that they need to act like a certain way, like such as this, right? And they think that that's where their satisfaction comes from, when it really doesn't at all. Um, and so yeah, so there's certain people, so many people. It's like especially once you break away from the institution of thought, it starts to become very. You start to really kind of realize how big, like, of course, you realize how big of a deal it is when you break away from it, or when you make the decision to break away from it, but you don't realize what's waiting for you, and then so now you're with what was waiting for you, and but you're still interacting with like all your buddies and everyone in the world that deal with the institution of thought. So now you realize how limiting the institution of thought is, especially to the circulating of like new ideas. Like if I want to talk about the functions of the ego or something like that, or if I want to talk about God or spirituality, your chakras, energy, qigong, diet, all sorts of stuff that are tangibly true, have tangible truths to them, stuff that people could put into their life and experience tangible truths. These are are very hit or miss if people are going to accept them because of the institution of thought. The institution of thought has people believing that all the concrete things in the world, all the truths in the world, have already been told to them. But this is furthest from the truth. It doesn't work like that. They believe, and so if someone like me starts trying to teach them certain stuff, tries talking about certain topics that are actually life-changing topics, the institution of thought tells them, we would have told you this already if it was true. And it also tells them, and it's also due to their socialization, they might even fall into an easy ego grab for superiority against me, saying like I'm a nut job, or I'm just a stupid hippie, or I'm egoic, I'm the one that's ego. When in reality, I'm just trying to lift them up, but it's not their fault because it's the institution of thought that's doing this to them, and then we can break down school a little bit more. They go to school for thousands and thousands of hours. They're actually just being institutionalized to remember what they're told is correct. They're not being told how to learn, but because they went to this place where they're supposed to be learning for thousands and thousands of hours, and you try and teach them some insane topics in a half hour, they're like, I went to school for thousands and thousands of hours, how, I would know if this was true. And then this is the same thing, and then this kind of thinking as well is in line with why people trust the news. It's the institution of thought again. The news is a very big part of the institution of thought, and people are literally just no longer able to start thinking for themselves, really trying to figure stuff out. People literally just remember what they're told. That's literally all they do. They remember what they're told. And this is I know that we're inevitably waking up. Our consciousness is evolving, but this is a big thing that everyone does, and even on the political issues and everything, it's literally just people doing what they're told. And in reality, what we have to do is just love each other and realize that God is the one that's in control. The world. It's highly likely that there is a world conspiracy or whatever, but guess what? God is in control, and He's been dismantling it the whole time. God and love.